In a February 24 interview with host Joshua Phillip on Crossroads, Mr. Deese pointed out the difference between the old sexual culture war that took place after the computer revolution, sex in the 1960s, and the new sexual culture war that has emerged in the past 5 to 10 years. He argues that the old culture war tried to distort reality by emphasizing multiple gender, sex identities, while the new one tries to reject these identities altogether. New LGBTQ ideologies insist that I am not even the same person I was created or born to be. I'm not male, I'm not female, I am not a dualist, he said. In this case, someone asked me that I have to come to terms with the mental disorder they consider born with. I have to come to terms with their rejection of reality. In the old culture war, I don't have to admit that someone is living a moral life that is different from me by participating in that immorality with them. However, in the new culture war, I have to participate in your madness to acknowledge you. And when I admit that, I have to deny my Creator, who created you as male and female. That's called sin. I cannot do that. Not to mention that this is crazy. When you start promoting these things to kids, you start seeing these family-friendly drag shows, and then there are dildos and toys, sexuality, and everything else presented for children to see. And I think there are a lot of people who maybe don't care that much about gay marriage who are looking at this and saying, "Ah, wow, no. This is madness. This will not happen under my watch." In an interview with American Thought Leaders in May, Dr. Jeff Myers, co-author of the book, Exposing the Gender Lie: How to Protect Children and Teens from the Transgender Industry's False Ideology, warns that transgenderism as a system ideology is trying to gain power by confusing people about the nature of reality. The book's second co-author, Brandon Showalter, criticized social media and influencers for trying to convince young people that they were born in the wrong body. He noted that many of these young people are autistic and suffer from mental health problems. Being the opposite sex is physiologically impossible, Mr. Showalter said. We have seen this happen with social trends in the past, such as anorexia, self-cutting, and other forms of self-harm caused by social trends. Society. The same thing is happening with this situation. What happens to people with autism, whether their autism is severe or moderate or mild, is they get caught up in a culture where their problems can be ideological explanations of gender identity. Agree and comply. Mr. Deese pointed out in an interview with the show, Crossroads, that the old culture war after the sexual revolution up until 5 or 10 years ago defined the left and the right in a different way than the war. New. If you are naturally left-leaning or slightly more left-leaning than neutral, then you have agreed that you have personal autonomy, personal self-determination, and unique limits on. With that being said, if what you are doing can be proven to have caused harm to someone else, and morality is really just approval. If another adult agrees with your action, it is okay. And there is no higher value than approval.
On the right, we often say, well, there is another power, your Creator, that is beyond human approval. There is another moral authority, he noted. And so, the two sides have been at war for a generation. Both agree on the right to self-determination. Both agree on autonomy. They just disagree about who governs these things and what the limits are to these rights. The new culture war is about whether I have unlimited agency and autonomy to do whatever I want no matter how depraved it is, or as we have seen during the COVID pandemic, do I have no rights at all? I don't have any autonomy. I must comply completely, be completely under the supervision of the state. And by the way, this is getting into ethical issues. He describes the effects of the new culture war by giving an example of boys showering in the locker room with their teammates after a sporting event. We may notice another child naked in the bathroom. Maybe he looks different from me, he is more or less endowed than me. However, you will not say it out loud. You keep those thoughts to yourself, right? What happens now is, I immediately May 1, 2023 to June 9, 2023. The market capitalization of retail chain Target decreased from $72.52 billion to $58.61 billion, a decrease of more than 19%. Meanwhile, Anheuser-Busch's market capitalization decreased from $132.06 billion to $109.42 billion between April 3, 2023 and June 9, 2023, a decrease of more than 17%.